Break. We're talking about the kinds of agitations and what the southeastern leaders have condemned. Now, you were drawing a differentiation between what they had condemned and perhaps why we haven't heard more voices condemning what the northern youths have done.
No, it's not that you didn't hear more voices, why northern youths were condemned. What I drew the difference was that the northern boys at this press period, they dispersed. I'm not in support of what they did, but I'm talking of the manner of their action. Whereas Nnamdi Kanu and his people consistently is basically holding people to basically economic hostage. At a particular time, they held almost the entire Southeast, down for a day, moving here, moving there. That is not what you find not just in the north, in any part of Nigeria, whatever kind of will surpass what we are seeing, following Nnamdi Kanu, but that they can behave that way. But we cannot equally wish away any kind of agitation from whatever quarter. But what we need to do, and is what they have done, is that they are part of the people of the Southeast, and they should work together and approach the government for implementation of the recommendations of the 2014 conference report and its amendment where they think there is a matter of concern to the Southeast that requires amendment. But again, that is if that amendment is going to be generally acceptable to the rest of Nigeria.
Do you think that this discussion will go the way of granting a referendum in this country?
A referendum over what? You see, there are different kinds of referendum. When you say a referendum, you can hold a referendum for a different purpose. Because some have opined that even constitutional amendment should be subject to referendum. So I need to know referendum over what before I can be able to answer that.
This referendum I'm specifically talking about is the referendum to have Nigerians say which part of the country they want to belong to.
Well, you have said which part of the country, so we still have one country. So if it is the fact that we have one country, so what is the referendum going to be about? You see, we are generally confused over what actually maybe we may be looking for. That's why my personal opinion is that we need to even sit down and discuss what nature of restructuring do we really require, so that we can agree on that as a first step. Agreed, we have a 2014 conference report, but this new agitation, restructuring, we are in support of it in principle, but we should understand and come to agreement what nature of restructuring does Nigeria require.
Senator, just quickly, some people will say that, there have been talks about how the unity of this country is non-negotiable. I think that was the basis of the 2014 report. But there are those who argue that in 1914, when the protectorates were amalgamated, that the consent of Nigerians were not sought, and that we've lived together all of those years as under one country, but that shouldn't we formalize this arrangement? Nigerians should be able to vote and say, I voted to stay within the country Nigeria. Is a referendum not necessary for that?
Is that part of the 2014 report? Because you see...
that's not part of the 2014 report, but those are agitations that are coming on the side of it.
Okay, if that is what they want, that's why I said this report should be made available to the legislature for discussion. If anybody has, this request to make, you go at public hearing and present it. And if that is the general view of Nigerians, the National Assembly will give it due consideration.
But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, what's the thoughts of the PDP on that?
The Now, I have already said that we believe that we should remain one united country that is just, fair, and equitable to all parts of Nigeria. But that should not wish away any kind of agitation for any quarter. But any agitation coming from whatever quarter should be lawful, should be done with decorum. We should do it with due respect, for each other. Hate speeches are totally uncalled for, because when you use this, it tends to defeat even the purpose for which you are doing this agitation.
Do you think that the unity of this country is negotiable?
Well, there is nothing that cannot be negotiated. There is absolutely nothing that cannot be negotiated. But we have resolved, you yourself have said that the conference was a consensus of views of Nigerians. There was nowhere where that featured.
Because they were told then that was not part of the basis. I mean, there were guidelines and there were conditions upon which that 2014 confab held. And one of the conditions was that the unity of the country was not negotiable. So you say that it's not included in the report. That's the obvious reason why it was not included in the report.
Who is calling for the referendum? Is it not Nnamdi Kanu?
No, not Nnamdi Kanu. Before now, there had been talks about, Nigerians and the Constitution.
We are talking of now. Let's not mix before now and now. Otherwise,